Hey everybody, it is day 29 and I will just cut to the chase and give everyone the best news first, and then I'll try and explain it the best I can. But the best news of all is that I am not going to need chemotherapy. So that is fabulous. But let me back up, and first of all, thank you everyone for all your prayers. Um, Prayer has definitely got me through this, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. But let's back up to, I think the last update was after we went to that RV show and when I wasn't feeling well on Saturday. Well, my fever did come back, and I was just convinced that I was having an allergic reaction or an infection in that tissue expander, and I felt really bad all day Sunday. I did not get to go to church. I did run a low-grade fever all day on Sunday, and just felt really bad. I tried not to let my mind go to that I had the infection. I was like, maybe it's just a virus or a stomach bug or something, because I did have a touch of diarrhea, and that diarrhea is definitely not a sign of infection that I know of. But anyway, so I had a bad Saturday and a bad Sunday, but then I woke up on Monday morning and I felt fine. So it had to have been a stomach bug. But I did email my plastic surgeon, and I let them know that there was swelling. I do still have swelling in my like right in here. That's where they had tried to take out some of that fluid that other day when I was down in at Mayo. There wasn't any fluid. I think it is fluid, but it's just kind of embedded in the tissue, or it's swollen or something. But anyway, I told him there was swelling. It wasn't hot to the touch, and I told him I had run a low-grade fever, but then I was fine on Monday, so I didn't start any round of antibiotics or anything. But I told him just in case, and like I said, Monday I was fine. So fast forward to Tuesday and Wednesday of this past week. Tuesday, I met with an oncologist in Cary. She was amazing. I loved her from the second that she walked into the room. I do actually want to mention that I didn't really love the facility that much. I've really been spoiled with everyone at Mayo. When I walked up to the intake people, they didn't greet me. I just had to stand there forever. It was a small waiting room, and there were taped signs on the glass, and it's like payment is expected upon services. And I agree with that. I think you do need to pay, but the area was messy. But I think the worst thing was that they didn't greet me. I mean, they knew I was standing there, but they just kept talking. One lady was training another person, and I know it's important that you have to train people, but at Mayo, the second you even get in the area, the people greet you with a smile, and they know me by name now. And they have thousands of patients, but it's just so different at Mayo. It's just the caliber of care. But anyway, I didn't like the intake people, but I loved the doctor. When she walked in, the second that I saw her, I knew we just connected. And it's good because she will be my quarterback for the foreseeable future. I will have to be under the care of an oncologist for quite some time, so I'm glad that I really like her. But not only did I like her, but she did give me very much the same thing that my Mayo oncologist gave me. But she said that she was fine with an oncotype score of 16, if you remember right, my Mayo oncologist wanted 11 or lower is what she wanted. But the findings, the oncotype people, they only want you to be under 25. So I think my Mayo oncologist was a little more conservative. But the Carrie oncologist, she was perfectly fine with a score of 16, and she said that there would be very little benefit of chemotherapy from me, and she did not recommend it. And I was so excited to hear that. But I do have to start the estrogen blocker pill, and she prescribed it for me. I did not start it yet because I wanted to wait till I saw the oncologist today at Mayo. I wanted to let her know that, I had decided, of course, if I was going to have chemo, I would have to have it in North Carolina, but I wanted to let her know that I had seen someone else and tell her what medicine they prescribed. It was letrozole, 2.5 milligrams. I'm not sure if that's the way you pronounce it, but it's to block the estrogen, and that is needed. There's actually a 30% chance that I would get cancer again somewhere in my body if I did nothing. But by taking the estrogen blocker, I cut that down to 15%. They cut it in half. And chemotherapy would not give me more than 15% chance of it not coming back. So that's as good as I can get. But, hey, that's an 85% chance that it won't come back. And so I'm good with that. So then the next day was Wednesday, and I went to see the radiation oncologist, because the same thing is, if I was going to have radiation, I would have to have that in North Carolina. So I met with them, and but they were exactly the same as my Mayo radiation oncologist. They told me all the same numbers. She said there was about an 8% benefit by doing radiation, but the negatives that they told me at Mayo, they went over with me again, and they went over them a little more in depth. And since they took 25 lymph nodes, if I have radiation, I have an increase of having lymphedema. That's where your arm swells up really badly. That increases 30 to 40%. And of course, lymphedema won't kill me, but it would not be a good quality of life. So that's a big negative. And then the other negative that they talked about was, since it's on my left side, they would be radiating very near my heart. Well, there's no breast tissue left there anymore. So for the radiation, I would have to take really deep breaths and raise my chest wall away from my heart to where the radiation wouldn't hit my heart. And, they told me that they would teach me how to do that. And I would hold my breath, keep my chest wall expanded. But I didn't like the idea of having the radiation on my heart, because you can have cardiovascular disease. And then plus there's a 2% chance that you could develop a different cancer from the radiation. So since I was borderline, and the Mayo oncologist was fine with me not having it, and this lady, she was a little more non-committal. She was very much like the breast surgeon that I first saw in Raleigh. She was just the facts. She would not give me her opinion. She wouldn't really give me a suggestion of what to do. She just laid it all on the line for me. And for a 6 to 8% improvement with all the negatives, I decided not to do radiation either. So that's my final decision. I am taking the estrogen blocker pill, I am not taking chemo. That's not recommended. And there's such a low benefit of radiation. I'm not going to take radiation. And I feel like I have the support of my family and my doctors. In fact, the oncologist that I loved in Cary, she told me, she said she couldn't imagine. Now, she said she wasn't a radiation oncologist, but she said there's nothing left there to radiate. All 25 lymph nodes are gone, and there's hardly any breast tissue. There's probably a tiny bit, but I can try to get more benefit from rest, being stress-free, diet. I can do all those positive things and maybe even raise my chances more than 8, 10, 15, 20%, who knows. But that's the bottom line. So that was Tuesday and Wednesday, and then today I went back to Mayo. I drove down last night. I did fine, or yesterday. I drove all day on Thursday, and I ended up staying with my son-in-law's brother. He's part of the family, and he's a bachelor, but he let me crash on his couch, and that was kind of fun. I got him a plant, a succulent, and he was really, I think he was happy with that. He's going to take it and put it on his desk at work, he said. But so I spent the night Thursday night, and then today I went. Now my Mayo oncologist, she had ordered a PET scan. She wanted to make sure that my whole body was clear, and I had my PET scan. And if you ever have a PET scan, that is no worries. There's no loud noises like there are in MRIs, and they put sugar water in an IV in my arm, and then you just have to rest for like an hour in a dark room with your, just like in a little lazy boy. And then after that hour's up, then you just go through this little machine. It was quiet, and it only took about 10 minutes for me. So my PET scan came back, and there's no evidence of any distant metastasized cancer. And then I had my fill today, my tissue expander. I want to see if you guys can tell. I think it's looking fabulous. Let's see if I can turn sideways. It's getting close. That's only 2 fills, but it was really cool just like feeling it expand when they put 100 cc's in today. It didn't hurt, not one bit. I did take some ibuprofen right before they did it, and I have taken another round of ibuprofen. It's feeling a little tight now, but so far this has been easy, so I was glad about that. But I did the fill, and then I had lunch, and then I had that last meeting with my Mayo oncologist. And the best thing about it was she knew I wanted data, and she gave me my Oncotype test thing, and it says no apparent benefit for chemo, so that was cool. And then she gave me a study that was just released May of 2019, and it goes into a lot of detail about people with one node positive, and estrogen positive, progesterone positive, HER2 negative. Those are my markers. But it says perhaps the most interesting finding in their analysis was that patients with a less than 18 Oncotype score, mine is a 16, the 9-year breast cancer survival rate was greater than 97%, regardless of nodal status. So no matter if you have a node positive, the survival rate is great. So anyway, I feel very excited about my decision. I pray it's the right one. But I wanted to end with just this one little bit. You guys know from the day that I found out that, well, really, the day of the mammogram, when I had a feeling that it was probably cancer, I started juicing. I went 100% vegan, and I've done rebounding, where that's jumping up and down on that rebounder, and I started getting lots more sleep, trying to be stress-free. So I've done a lot. I've prayed. I've had so many people praying for me, and I know that all of this, all of the goodness and everything is from God, and I praise Jesus. But I wanted to let you know that MRI that I had, it showed the mass was 5 centimeters, and it also showed 4 more satellites. So if the MRI was correct, and an MRI is a pretty good test, if it was right, my tumor, my main mass, shrank from 5 centimeters. The final pathology was only 2. So it shrank by 3 centimeters. And I didn't have 4 satellites in the final pathology. I only had 1. So prayer and juice. I really believe in juice. And I did one other thing. I put it on my blog, but I was taking a teaspoon of sodium bicarbonate baking soda. You just have to make sure it's aluminum-free baking soda. But I took a teaspoon of sodium bicarbonate with a little bit of blackstrap molasses. And what that is it's a Trojan horse, because when you have the sugar, and remember they gave me sugar water today to see if I had any cancer in that PET scan, and so you know that cancer cells take that sugar first. All cells need sugar, and all cells will take them, but the cancer goes for it first. So every morning I was doing that sodium bicarbonate with blackstrap molasses, and thank you, Cindy, my neighbor, for telling me this. Anyway, the blackstrap molasses, the cancer goes for that, but then it gets the sodium bicarbonate, which kills the cancer. So prayers, juice, blackstrap molasses, and sodium bicarbonate. I don't know what it was, but I know that I'm very, very grateful that my mass was only 2 centimeters and that I only had 1 node positive. I only had 1 satellite nodule, I guess is what I'm saying. Oh, and one last thing. I think I had told you that an encapsulated lymph node was bad. That is actually good. If you ever have cancer in a lymph node, you want it to be encapsulated. That means it's still inside the lymph node. Mine was a little bit of extranodal enhancement, so it had come outside of the wall of the lymph node just a little. So just correcting a thought that in case anyone is ever listening and knows that now I do know that an encapsulated lymph node, you don't want any lymph nodes to be positive, but if you do want it to be encapsulated. So that is it. I feel like I'm at the end of this journey, this trek. I don't like that word journey, but all I have left is a few more fills, and then I have to wait a month, and then I'm just going to get a regular implant. I'm not doing any more surgeries. I'm ready for this to be over. So thank you very much for your prayers, and I am signing off. I'm here in Savannah drinking some juice. I went to Juice Clinic Jack's after my Mayo appointments. I've got juice, and I'm going to watch some TV, hit the hay early, and then get home and just enjoy this Labor Day weekend. I thank you all for your support, and just crazy excited. Good night, everybody.